Hello and welcome back to the JW Thoughts channel. My name is Wally and today we're looking at the Good News According to Jesus part 3. Now the first part was in last year's convention and then we did one part and so now we're at this one. There is a bit more lore when it comes to the sartorial splendor that is this convention and all of the clothing choices that they're making, because we have a funny little collision of sexy Jesus and him being allowed to be shirtless and all hot, and then how they were telling women to dress even in their workout clothes. Very interesting, at least in my opinion. The lore continues. One of the more interesting things about this whole convention, in my humble opinion. Now, quickly, before we do get into the video, don't forget to drop a like on the video. It helps it get out to more people on YouTube, and I very much appreciate it. It only takes 1 second, and it does truly make a massive difference. And also, I have a goal of getting to 45,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I will continue to do my part and provide free content on YouTube as a platform for all of you guys to enjoy, hopefully. And if it's crap, then unsubscribe, because it's crap and you shouldn't watch stuff that's crap. So if you could do your part and just double check that you are subscribed to the channel, I would very much appreciate that, because I like reaching my goals. With all of that being said, let's do this. So after Jesus got done beating some ass and flipping some tables, he is being observed by this Pharisee named Nicodemus. And he is looking pensively off at camera C, as most people do in this drama. And he goes and approaches him in the night, because that's when Jesus likes to be approached by men. And they have a conversation about whether or not someone can enter the womb of their own mother.
How can a man be born when he's old? He cannot enter into the womb of his mother a second time and be born, can he?
Most truly I say to you, unless anyone is born from water and spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of God. What has been born from the flesh is flesh, and what has been born from the spirit is spirit.
And Jesus goes on to start babbling like a fool. It's like the fake smart type of communication style. If you have boiled oats and they have gone over the pot, is there too much starch? Moreover, what we boil in ourselves must not boil over on the stove. Brother, what are you talking about? If you drink carbonated beverage too fast and you burp, is this because of God or sin? But all of Jesus's philosophic nonsense speak seems to have an effect on Nicodemus, because he goes home, takes off his governing body rings, and decides to look at a pool of water, his reflection. Amazed at the quality of the reflection, to be completely honest, but I guess before mirrors, you got to do what you can. So he washes his hands, looks at a piece of leather strap. Don't really know what he uses that for. Well, actually, I do. It's a headland band thing. Anyway, seems that Nicodemus has had a real inspirational moment here with the Son of God. So, yippee!
After this, Jesus and his disciples went into the Judean countryside, and there he spent some time with them and was baptizing. But John too was baptizing in Enon, near Salem, because there was a great quantity of water there.
All right, now we got to talk about it. We got to go and do the full deep dive. I know it's like the main theme of what I've been talking about throughout this convention, but I find it so interesting. So we had the whole set of demonstrations, skits, dramas, whatever you want to call them, showing women with their workout clothes. So you had the initial one where the guy is scrolling on his phone and he sees a woman working out. He's like, oh, why do I keep being fed this information? Brother, it's called an algorithm. It's what you engage with. Anyway, we'll put that to one side. And then later on, we have another example of the two sisters who are at the gym, and she's like, hey, check out this sculpting routine. But her other friend, the other Jehovah's Witness friend, is like, yeah, I mean, I can see why she's getting so much attention, because she's wearing like a crop top, like whatever, and they're wearing baggy clothes. And I have this whole like suspicion about, you know, the who's and what's and nuts and bolts about why all of this is happening. But we got to ask the question here, because now we have another precedent. we had the Jesus drama. Okay? And we called him Sexy Jesus. Dude was looking pretty fine. He was out there aura farming in front of everyone. Everyone at the convention was like, man, okay, I could have me a slice of some Jesus crackers. Maybe I am one of the 144,000. Maybe I'm anointed. And John the Baptist, he was over there like really baptizing people and flexing his biceps. Dudes were ripped. Obviously, they spend a lot of time at the gym. Now we have another example of someone getting baptized. And they're wearing a shirt. This is where it just kind of like blows the whole thing wide open. What is it with them being totally okay with the men being able to flex their biceps, coming out of the water with the water glistening and having like these pretty, I suppose we would say like sexual, enticing, if you're attracted to men, some pretty good looking guys, right? Without their shirts on. And that's totally fine. And yet for the women in this drama, they have to cover themselves from their necks all the way down to their toes because they might stumble someone or be trying to get too much attention to themselves. Now, if the argument is, clearly, they just had to be accurate with the Jesus drama. Jesus wasn't going to go and get baptized with a shirt on. No one back in that time ever got baptized with a shirt on. That would look ridiculous. We have to do it to be chronologically accurate. We got to stick with what's in the Bible. What would they have done at the time? Well, now you have someone that's wearing a shirt as they're getting baptized. So at least we have the idea that it's possible for someone back then to be getting baptized with a shirt on. So where does this leave us? What do we make of this giant mess that Watchtower has created? They can have Jesus out there flexing and John the Baptist coming out of the water, looking all hot and sexy. Women, on the other hand, you guys have to cover up. And if the argument for all of that whole nonsense was, well, clearly they don't want to like show, a sexy woman in a slutty outfit, but they're willing to do it with Jesus. And you can't just make the case that, oh, well, they wouldn't have worn a shirt back then. You just showed someone wearing clothes. They're showing other people getting baptized wearing a full shirt. It feels intentional to me. It feels like they're really setting the precedent, like they wanted people to be attracted to this Jesus figure. But they're too stupid. They don't have enough foresight to know that they've planned these other skits to be added in the convention that are just going to completely contradict the whole Jesus aura farming thing. What a fascinating world that Watchtower has accidentally walked itself into. I don't buy any of the things after having said this. I don't buy any of the arguments that's saying, well, they can't show, a sexy sister, that would be inappropriate. And yet they do it with Jesus. They do it with a man. That's totally fine. Like, what is happening here? Are the women in the organization just so looked down on that they just have to be marginalized to where they don't get to have a choice? The men, if you're going to participate in one of our dramas, we will give you the choice. You can get baptized with your shirt on, you can get baptized with your shirt off. But if you're a woman and going to participate in one of their skits, it's like, oh, okay, well, if you're going to be in a workout scene, sorry, sister, you're going to have to wear some pants that are a little looser. You're going to have to actually wear a top over your top for it to be appropriate. Do they just want to remove any options or choices that a woman could make? But a man, hey, let's get some actual bros out here, some gym rats that we know, to portray these characters to make them super sexy. It is a really fascinating situation. So now that you guys have all of the entirety of the context, I know I've just been like doing this in little bits, but I think it's kind of just been mildly entertaining, at least from my perspective. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about all this. I just think it's just blatant Watchtower being Watchtower, and it's like, hey, women, nah, you guys can't have options. We don't want you looking good. We don't want you being attractive. We don't want you drawing attention to yourselves. It's an organization run by men, and men love having their power, and the idea that a woman could be sexy maybe takes some power away from them or attention away from them. And so they don't want to do any of that. So I don't know where this goes from here. Maybe it's just like everyone's just going to be covered in a complete blanket head to toe, and then you have some little eye holes, and that's just going to be the new Watchtower meta. Anyway, I find it fascinating, but let's move on. Love me some honey. Ooh. Ooh, yeah. Bears love honey. But you know what they love more than honey? Is subscribing to the JW Thoughts channel. Now, some people are a little bit confused as to why John the Baptist is allowing other people to do the baptizing. That's his job. I mean, it's in his name. He's John the Baptizer. Why are you going to let someone else do your job there, bub? And he tells them that he's basically very happy, that he is always the bridesmaid, but never the bride.
Whoever has the bride is the bridegroom. But the friend of the bridegroom, when he stands and hears him, has a great deal of joy on account of the voice of the bridegroom.
And then we get a cool little montage of people getting baptized. It's like an Oprah situation. You get baptized, you get baptized. Everyone's getting baptized. Everyone's smiling and having a good time. Now we move away from the baptisms to the baptizer, John. And he's in a little bit of a predicament because Herod has thrown him in prison on account of his wife. Now, I've been speculating and thinking why Watchtower creates these types of videos, and I think maybe they're making an effort to go mainstream. And in order to get syndicated by a mainstream TV network, they have to have a catchy title. So I think Watchtower is pitching an idea to someone like TLC. You know, they have all those goofy shows called Sister Wives and Brother Husbands and all of that stuff. So here's their pitch.
For John had been saying to Herod, "It is not lawful for you to have your brother's wife." So Herodias was nursing a grudge against him.
Despite what this evil harpy has been saying about John, Herod seems to still be listening to him. Enough about this guy, though. Let's move on and see what Jesus is up to. So Jesus and his merry men are off on an adventure, going on a little hike, and they have to go through Samaria. He's a little bit tired, so his little followers decide to disperse, and he sits down by a well where he's meted by a woman who's really mean-mugging him, and continues to do so in a very awkward segment. Now, after this very tense and awkward moment, Jesus decides he's going to rizz her up a little bit and hit her with some bars.
Everyone drinking from this water will get thirsty again. Whoever drinks from the water that I will give him will never get thirsty at all. But the water that I will give him will become in him a spring of water, bubbling up to impart everlasting life.
Sir, give me this water, so that I may neither thirst nor keep coming over to this place to draw water.
But then he goes and he messes it up as he always does, and he starts talking about my Father this and Holy Spirit and water and blah, blah, blah. So it kind of messes it up. But he does bring it back home because we know he has one ability that's always proven to work, and that is his aura farming, and he just comes out and says,
I am he, the one speaking.
Fortunately, his disciples aren't too happy about the situation because they thought this was a field trip for the boys, the dudes. And so
Just then
this
the
happens.
disciples arrived, and they were surprised
because he was speaking with a woman.
And with giving her some nasty looks, of course, she just leaves her stuff there and runs away. Now she's surrounded by 13 guys and is a little bit uncomfortable. So she just has to run into the city and go and start talking to people about something or another. But then it's a miracle. All the townspeople come and find Jesus, and he ends up staying with them for 2 days. So yippee-ki-yay, super exciting stuff. Then like season 7 and 8 of Game of Thrones, we start teleporting all over the place. He's walking around, giving a speech here, giving a speech there, going to Galilee, heard about Jerusalem. Then he goes back to where he had his first miracle, where he turned the water into wine. And there's someone who has a sick son, so maybe we're going to see another miracle.
Royal official whose son was sick in Capernaum.
So the sick boy's father, who might be the best actor of this entire series, he decides, man, I'm hearing all these cool stories about this Jesus dude. Let me go and figure out what he's all about. So he gets up and he's saddling, he's riding, having like season 7 and 8 of Game of Thrones. We have another continuity error. He's just going along the road, and then all of a sudden he just gets out and he's in the city. We won't get bogged down with any of these small details. They don't really matter. But the little interchange between this man and Jesus is kind of interesting, because it's almost like Jesus is reluctant to save a child or doing it for the wrong reason. Anyway, have a look.
Unless you people see signs and wonders, you'll never believe.
Lord, come down before my young child dies.
Go your way. Your son lives. The man believed the word that Jesus spoke to him, and he left.
The boy is healed, everyone is cheering and having a good time. So now we're going to move right along, and like episode, I don't know, what is it, 6 or 7 of The Bachelor, it's time for hometowns.
Then went to Nazareth, where he had been brought up. And according to his custom on the Sabbath day, he entered the synagogue.
But hometowns, as they often do, didn't go quite as expected. He gives a little talk at the synagogue, reads some from a scroll. Everyone's doing pretty all right. And then someone asks him about his father, Joseph. And this really causes a real ruckus in the situation and breaks out into a brawl. But luckily, Jesus does have a David Copperfield-like trick up his sleeve.
And they led him to the brow of the mountain on which their city had been built. In order to throw him down headlong. But he went right through their midst and continued on his way.
A narrow escape. I was on the edge of my seat. By that I mean I'm standing. Wasn't on the edge of my seat at all, because that was like the worst power of all time. I mean, teleportation, kind of cool, but can we get some phasing effects or, I don't know, something. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Jesus has to continue on with his mission, and he's getting a little bit cramped around here. There's got a lot of people pressing up on him, so he's like, let's take this to the water. So he hops in a boat and pulls away about 4 feet off of the shore, because obviously people couldn't walk up in knee-deep water. We won't worry about that too much, because he teaches them for a while. Everyone looks pretty happy. And then Jesus is feeling a little peckish, so time to do some fishing.
When he stopped speaking, he said to Simon,
Pull out to where it is deep, and let down your nets for a catch.
Instructor, we toiled all night and caught nothing. But at your word, I will lower the nets.
So the fishermen do seem a bit skeptical as to the sanity of going out after they've been trying all night. How are the fish going to be all of a sudden biting during the day? Well, like Jimmy Butler in the playoffs, you can never quite sleep on Jesus because he always has a few tricks up his sleeve.
Well, when they did this, they caught a great number of fish. In fact, their nets began ripping apart. So they motioned to their partners in the other boat to come and assist them. And they came and filled both boats. So that these began to sink.
Well, boy, howdy. The fish were having a real hootenanny. And like most of the stories surrounding Jesus with his merry men, it usually ends up with someone on their knees.
Seeing this, Simon Peter fell down at the knees of Jesus.
And while Jesus might be gatekeeping his miraculous powers, he is going to be teaching Simon Peter how to catch men.
Stop being afraid. From now on, you will be catching men alive. Come after me, and I'll make you fishers of men.
At this prospect of becoming fishers of men, and that's where the drama pretty much ends. So what an adventure that we got to go on here. As far as thoughts on it, I gotta be honest, it's like hard to describe and put into words how strange this is to watch, because I keep finding myself thinking reading the Bible by itself is actually more entertaining than watching this. And that's a statement. Like, that's wild. Reading the Bible more exciting than this fairly high budgeted movie, drama, whatever you want to call it. But I can't exactly put my finger on why that is. I feel like when you're reading something, you are trying to figure it out, you're using your imagination, and you're maybe adding to the story in a way that does more justice to it than this film. This film makes it seem like Jesus is on Fent and he's having random encounters with strangers and spouting off of a bunch of gobbledygook. It's like they may have just made his hair crazy and had like worms and stuff and twigs growing out of his beard and hair, because he just sounds crazy. And I keep coming back to that with every scene. It's just, well, who's Jesus going to talk a bunch of crazy nonsense to? And yet when I read the Bible, I'm like trying to decipher and figure it out, and you can kind of go slow and at your own pace and visualize things. When I watch this, I'm just like, this is stupid. This is dumb. So somehow, some way, the Jehovah's Witnesses managed to spend millions and millions of dollars producing something that was more boring than the Bible. And that in and of itself is quite the accomplishment. So shout outs to Watchtower for that one. This ends the Jesus drama for this convention, so we're all done with that. Next time, I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow or maybe a couple days. We'll have to see. I might go hiking. But with all of that being said, stay safe. Oh, wait, sorry. We're going to go into the interview section. Now that I've properly said the thing of what we're going to do next time, stay safe, be kind, and don't forget to spend more time loving the things you love than hating the things you hate. You better have a good-ass day.